AOC finally responded proudly concerning a high school yearbook photo that proves she grew up in a wealthy suburb. She said, "See, I told you I went to high school."
And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to live. What I do know is that we don't have to live like this. And in fact, we cannot live like this anymore.
This is ridiculous.
This was absurd on another level. Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly took AOC's political sideshow and dismantled it with cutting humor and ruthless accuracy. Her viral posturing, empty virtue signaling, and theatrical outrage were laid bare like never before. From TikTok tantrums to fairy tale economics, nothing escaped scrutiny. This wasn't just a tough roast, it was a public breakdown of a persona built almost entirely on hashtags. Anyone waiting for clever rebuttals was left disappointed. This takedown ended with silence and exposure.
From like AOC that he should be impeached is just absurd. Absurd. There's no... Okay, get back to me when you've read the Constitution or get a law degree, because you sound like an... There is absolutely no ground to impeach the president. He 100% was within his constitutional authority and his congressionally authorized authority to do what he did on Saturday.
AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life.
Greg Gutfeld didn't bother easing into his critique of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The moment her name surfaced, it was like slamming a massive comedy trigger. Gutfeld came alive instantly, as though handed an endless supply of punchlines. To him, AOC wasn't merely a lawmaker. She was a living political skit that somehow won an election and never realized the laugh track should stop.
Like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore. I mean, she may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. It's like, I listen to her, I go, I heard that at Berkeley in 1983. So their problem is, and the reason why they don't have any ideas is they operate on half opinions. Like,
if you're enjoying this dismantling, go ahead and hit subscribe. Gutfeld began by ridiculing her habit of treating every Instagram Live like a miniature State of the Union, staged for ring lights and pets. He joked that AOC could sit among real experts and still leave armed with freshly reheated buzzwords. Her commentary, he said, felt like leftovers from a college protest rally, warm enough to smell ideological, but never credible enough to trust.
So by now you heard that AOC, among others, were arrested last night. She truly is an American hero. It was brutal, taken out in cuffs. Well, technically, her shirt had cuffs. Maybe French cuffs, as she did surrender without fighting.
Next came her love of spectacle. Gutfeld said AOC treated Capitol Hill corridors like fashion runways and every disagreement as an opportunity for a televised breakdown. In his eyes, she approached legislation the way reality TV contestants approach teamwork, loud, lost, and fully convinced she's the star even as everything collapses around her.
As for whether it's a good idea, that's a debate we should be having. And look, if we could get congressional approval of the specific action, fine, I'm okay with that too. If you want to bring it to Congress, go ahead and see how that goes. I don't think it's necessary, but...
Then policy entered the picture. Gutfeld gleefully shredded her flagship ideas, calling them a mashup of wishful thinking and economic sabotage. He joked the Green New Deal read like a last-minute middle school science project, glitter, poster board, and no calculations. He compared her policymaking to assembling IKEA furniture blindfolded, then blaming the furniture when it falls apart.
Oh, let's do it. What happens? You have repeat criminals wreaking havoc. What if we have sanctuary cities? Hey, let's do it. What happens? Finding sanctuary, safe haven. What if we give trans rights? Oh, you just ruin women's sports. You ruin safe spaces. You make kids' lives hell. But
he also targeted her relentless social media fixation. According to Greg, AOC logged more camera time than full-time influencers, with the added drawback of ignoring facts. He imagined staff meetings dominated by filters and slogans, with someone lecturing on emissions while snapping selfies inside an SUV. Then came the emotions. Gutfeld mocked her flair for public dramatics, saying every disliked vote became a Shakespearean tragedy complete with quivering voice and extended pauses. To him, when AOC lost, it wasn't a debate, it was Rome collapsing under studio lighting. Over on another platform, Megyn Kelly joined in with surgical calm. Where Gutfeld scorched, Kelly sliced. She methodically dismantled the illusion of AOC's intellect, noting how she repeated half-absorbed talking points with the confidence of someone who skimmed an article and mistook it for mastery. Kelly said AOC's speeches overflowed with emotion but lacked framework, like a motivational poster that somehow won office.
There's a beautiful little town called Yorktown Heights in Westchester. It's not the fanciest of Westchester towns, but it ain't the Bronx by any measure. And the reason this is relevant is because a congresswoman who you may know as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been telling us for years that she is from the Bronx. And recently she had a fight with President Trump over tweet, text, truth, whatever. And she played tough and said, "Oh, don't you mess with me. I'm a Bronx girl and we eat Queens boys for..."
Kelly ridiculed AOC's habit of swapping data for indignation, explaining that she treats disagreement not as debate, but as evidence of evil. The world isn't heroes versus villains, Kelly noted, though AOC seemed unaware, likely because she was busy staging another protest from her office. Then came performance politics. Kelly said AOC didn't govern, she live-streamed. She didn't argue, she acted. Congress, in Kelly's telling, was just a stage equipped with lighting and likes. She also questioned AOC's environmental signaling, asking how someone obsessed with saving the planet could rack up more flights than a touring DJ. Her climate rhetoric, Kelly said, had the depth of a bumper sticker and the reliability of a forecast drawn in crayon. Outrage followed next. Every headline a crusade, every critic a threat. Public policy, Kelly argued, became an endless slam poetry session, with each line louder than the last.
But if her pants had cuffs, she would have pretended to be in leg irons too. But real handcuffs, not so much. But that didn't stop her from pretending. And I hate it when people do this to me. When I ask people to put on handcuffs and they say, "I'll just pretend I have them on," I'd be like, "Sure, and I'll pretend to pay."
Kelly couldn't resist teasing AOC's constant references to humble beginnings, joking she'd expanded a bartending job into a superhero origin story. AOC spoke of it, Kelly said, as if she invented hardship. She joked the next slogan might be "From cocktails to Congress, revolution included." Back to Gutfeld, still swinging. He mocked AOC's ongoing war with reality, suggesting she equated questioning with persecution and fact-checking with emotional assault. Criticism, he said, was met with toddler-level outrage, loud, offended, and fully convinced of victimhood. He laughed at how she branded herself as the people's voice while avoiding most actual people, counting online activists and sidewalk protesters as constituents. He also questioned how someone championing workers found so much time for fashion spreads. Her red carpet moments, he said, delivered subtlety with all the finesse of a jackhammer.
And respectfully, AOC, well, that's real cute, except she only lived in the Bronx until she was age 5, when at best you're in usually kindergarten, maybe first grade. And she spent the rest of her childhood, 1 through 12th grade, in Yorktown Heights, which is Westchester. And by any measure, it is richer, nicer, and more white collar than the Bronx, with all due respect to my friends in the Bronx.
Gutfeld said AOC played Robin Hood in designer heels, stealing attention from real issues while delivering speeches that sounded like tweets run through a thesaurus. Kelly returned to her contradictions, preaching empowerment while claiming helplessness, demanding accountability while dodging it, insisting on transparency while refusing unscripted interviews. Kelly said AOC mastered switching between revolutionary and victim depending on the camera angle. She criticized AOC's habit of flattening complex issues into viral slogans, where anyone asking for details became an enemy of progress. Capitalism was treated as a cartoon villain, economics reduced to billionaire blame without math, movements launched without structure, revolutions planned without logistics. Politics, Kelly said, was treated like a college club, big ideas, flashy posters, and no follow-through once the pizza was gone.
Of course, AOC was mocked on social media for imitating being handcuffed, which is a change from her usually being mocked for imitating a congresswoman. That's not even close to being as disgusting as I can be. She, in fact, was gingerly escorted away to a holding area where she kept up the phony display before finally raising her fist to supporters. She then crossed her wrists behind her back, again in the faux handcuffed position. It says tall.
Gutfeld returned with another jab, dubbing AOC the Empress of Delayed Revelations. Personal trauma, he joked, conveniently resurfaced right when topics trended or cameras rolled. If there were awards for political improv drama, he said, she'd win annually and still thank herself on stage. Her foreign policy ideas fared no better, reduced to guilt, blame, demands, and no solutions. He joked she'd solve global conflicts with inspirational quotes and vegan meal plans. Kelly then examined AOC's quiet shift from outsider activist to establishment favorite without acknowledging the transition. AOC wanted rebellion's praise and power's perks while pretending she stood apart from the system she sprinted to join. Kelly called it the political equivalent of crashing a party and criticizing the playlist you chose.
And now some of her schoolmates, separate and apart from Benny, are weighing in on her claims. I'll get to the Benny thing in one second, but there was a piece in the New York Post talking about how she's embarrassing herself. She's embarrassing herself now with this Bronx girl.
Kelly mocked the staged photo ops, curated outrage, and endless controversy cycles that always concluded with tears and donation links. Congressional work, she said, became a serialized performance, with AOC cast as the misunderstood heroine battling reality. Both Kelly and Gutfeld agreed on one thing: AOC wasn't accidental. She was a meticulously crafted brand wrapped in authenticity, sold as revolution, and powered by Wi-Fi. They didn't find her dangerous, just predictable, a script with wardrobe changes, protest signs paired with luxury boots. Gutfeld joked that give her a week to draft a bill and she'd return with spoken word poetry and a playlist. In his view, she didn't represent the future, she symbolized the moment politics chose vibes over substance. Kelly closed with a warning: slogans fade, hashtags expire, and eventually results are demanded. Likes don't pass laws, reposts don't repair bridges, and emotional clips don't replace work.
AOC was on 60 Minutes last night. Quite a feat for a newcomer. Must be all her great new ideas.
People are going to have to start paying their fair share in taxes. Once you get to like the tippy tops, on your 10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%.
What an expression. Now, the real story isn't AOC's very old ideas. It's the media's gushy view of her. Even with her old ideas, she gets on six.
Still, the curtain wasn't closing. AOC remained on stage, still performing, still drawing applause from people who never read the script. And as long as she kept talking, Gutfeld and Kelly would keep sharpening their commentary. Gutfeld jumped back in, saying AOC's greatest achievement was transforming every policy debate into performative theater. She didn't miss the point. She arrived with props, costumes, and speeches designed to win applause from half-listening crowds. According to Greg, she could turn a pothole complaint into a national reckoning on feelings, inequality, and whether asphalt itself held privilege.
AOC and see what she has to say.
Any quick reaction on what's going on with Elon Musk and President Trump on Twitter right now?
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? I think this breakup we've been seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
Okay. You're so cool referring to them as the girls. She's above it all, Ben. That's what she's trying to telegraph. You see, she's the adult in the room, the one out there who does a preacher accent. And she leans into her fake Latina accent. And
He took aim at her leadership during crises, saying she showed up late, underprepared, and overly dramatic. He compared her response to a firefighter arriving with a scented candle and a vlog camera. Storytelling mattered more than solutions, and audiences consumed it like political popcorn. Kelly closed with another precise strike, focusing on AOC's instinct to moralize everything while skipping practicality. She mocked this elective outrage, exploding over trends while ignoring the dull work of governing. With a calm smile, Kelly said AOC's greatest fear wasn't being wrong, it was becoming irrelevant. In her world, silence wasn't reflection, it was failure. And as long as there were cameras, controversy, and rehearsed outrage, AOC would keep talking, whether anyone was still listening or not.